Well, good Saturday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. Hope you're doing great on this Saturday morning. We have the Dallas Cowboys versus the Chicago Bears on tap Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern, and we'll be here live streaming. I believe we have an early game tomorrow morning that we will probably start the live stream out here covering it. I may be doing work and stuff here, of course, in the kitchen and things, getting ready for the game. You know how we roll. We got the big sub, the big sub, and we're going to be having an Italian beef sub, which is basically a pork roast with oiled gardenia, hot gardenia on there, and sweet peppers on the sub with the au jus sauce on there. So that's a nice meaty sandwich. It'll be definitely full of flavor, and can't wait to have that. We'll have the Cowboys going on against the Bears. We've got the Eagles playing against the Steelers. We'll be going at the same time. Then we have the Giants going all the way to Seattle to take on the Seahawks, and I forgot who the Commanders play. I don't know why I can't remember the Commanders. Anyway, moving right along from the Commanders, we, of course, are hopefully getting a victory. It is looking like Zeke Elliott may miss his second game in his career due to injury. It's actually fortunate that we have the bye week next week, because that gives him a week of rest and rehab to go ahead and get together, and then another week before the stretch run. So for me, if he's close to being able to play, I would be one that would err on the side of caution and say, big fella, we're going to sit this one out. We need you for the stretch run. We've been through this last year with the PCL injury. He didn't miss any games, but clearly it slowed him down, and he was not the same workhorse. And I dare say that one of the reasons why we were unable to compete as well going down the stretches the second half of the season, our running game was not there like it was before. Now, Tony Pollard will get the start. Tony Pollard can be a very, very effective back, and I believe what we need to do, and I actually sent a message to Roz this morning. He is my stat guy. You know, stats takes care of the numbers and everything else and gives me all the information that I need to check and try and see if he can find out how often the Cowboys have used 12 personnel package and how successful they have been. For me, you all know it's personal when it comes to 12 personnel. I believe that is the most effective thing the Dallas Cowboys can do. It's good for the quarterback because you've got extra blockers in there if you need them to protect the quarterback. It also gives you extra receivers if you need them. It also gives you extra blockers if you are running the football, because it's like a Swiss Army knife when you're dealing with 12 personnel. You can run the football if if they're not stacking the box. You got two extra blockers there. And it doesn't necessarily have to be we have one on each side. You can end up putting them both on one side. Have a super strong side, and then go to the weak side because everybody's shifted over there. There's a multitude of things that you can do. Now, for me, I've had this discussion with Roz over and over again that I believe that Jake Ferguson is going to be a very, very effective tight end for us going forward. He could be a Jason Witten-esque type player. The reason I say that is Jason Witten was a good blocker and he was a good receiver. Jason Witten was not fast, but he could always find the soft spots of the zones and always caught the football. And having a guy like that makes 12 personnel more effective, because the thing you want to do to defenses is make them cover more of the field. I love Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz is a security blanket for Dak. He's a good receiver, especially when he's healthy. Unfortunately, he's had the PCL injury famous for Zeke Elliott last year, that has been, we're taking it easy in practice. We're going to go on Sunday, and it's kind of like he's there, but he's not quite there. Again, another one of those cases. I think the Cowboys would be better off resting him and letting him go for the stretch run. But hey, what do I know? I'm a guy in my basement talking to you about the Cowboys and running an organization. I'm not actually one that's actually running it. It's real easy to be a Monday morning quarterback and second guess what they're doing. It's different when your shit's on the line and you have to be making those calls. Be that as it may, Dalton Schultz is not a great blocker. Teams know if Dalton Schultz is out there, we need to cover him. We're not so worried about him blocking at the point of attack. It means you're more one-dimensional. Jake Ferguson is not as good a pass catcher yet as Dalton Schultz, but he is a great blocker. Payton Hendershot, he's not as effective as a receiver as Dalton Schultz is yet, but he's another great blocker. And the fact that Hendershot came out of nowhere, all of a sudden, we've got the two guys. Now, they're nicknamed Frickin' Frack. Frickin' Frack. And for those out there who don't understand how powerful tight ends could be, I want you to think back to Tom Brady in New England when they had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez before he went crazy. How effective those two guys were on the offense. They didn't have big-name wide receivers. Their offense went through their tight ends. They could run the ball effectively with no-name running backs, and they could go down the field with their tight ends. And we're only scratching the surface of what these guys can do. The thing about it is, when you line them up as a defender, you don't know, is this going to be a run play? Is he going to help block down? Is he going to try and go to the linebacker? Or is it going to be a play action and that tight end kind of acts like he's giving a little forearm shiver to the defensive end and turns around to catch the screen pass? You got to cover both. And this is where the secret sauce in the 12 personnel is you can change what you're doing. I showed back in preseason where Cooper Rush was using 12 personnel in one drive. Kellen Moore did the perfect drive. We went from the 31-yard line into the end zone, mixing up 12 personnel with running the football. We were effective running the football, a couple of plays. Then all of a sudden we started stretching the field a little bit with the pass here. Then all of a sudden we do a reverse with Tarpon. And, then we start using the tight ends to catch the football. When you can keep the defense having to have their head on the swivel, they're not reacting immediately to the play. They start getting sucked in when they think it's play action, and all of a sudden, now you've got that doubt. Those guys can make plays. Frickin' Frack. Frickin' Frack is the nickname. I'm going to go one a little bit different, okay? Frickin' Frack. Because I think of Frickin' Frack kind of like, kind of down type of a name. I actually like the Blues Brothers. The Blues Brothers, excuse me. The Blue Brothers. Let's get it right. Blue Brothers, as in Cowboys Blue. And they kind of look like brothers. Here is an interesting little snippet interview from them yesterday. Let's watch.
We got matching tattoos not too long ago. Nah, I'm just kidding.
That's why they call us nicknames. They can't. Yeah, they can't. They call. I've been called Ferg so many times. D-Law told me, he's like, you can't be wearing a shirt around anymore. He's like, because the only way I can tell who's the difference because your tattoos.
Actually, I don't know if a lot of people know this. When he scored in preseason.
Yeah.
The play before that, he was running with his helmet. He trucked the guy and his helmet broke. And I was done for the game, so I had already played earlier. And they're like, Jake, go in. Payton doesn't have a helmet. He goes, nah, just give me his helmet. I took my helmet off, gave it to him, and he scored in my helmet.
Yeah, I scored my touchdown.
Technically, I scored.
You have two.
Yeah.
The Blues Brothers. I think that's what it needs to be. And I hope, and this is where I look at it and say, with Dalton Schultz, let's rest him. let's develop these guys because we do have a lack on wide receivers. Okay, let's be clear here. I know Stephen Jones says, I like our wide receiver room and we like what we got. I get it. Okay, Catboy, I get what you're saying. But here's the reality of it is, when you look at teams, Super Bowl teams, you look at the best teams in football, you always see a great tight end or use of tight ends. Am I wrong? You look at one of the big problems I think in Tampa Bay is Gronk's gone. You got Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph is not Gronk. He's not that security blanket, that guy who can block and can catch and make Tom Brady look so good. Tight ends are as important, if not more important, than a wide receiver. They help in the running game. They bail out the quarterback. They keep the chains moving. And they're everything that you need. And that's where I hope that the Cowboys continue to keep with these two guys. I'm telling you, right now, you look at this and say, this is only 7 games in for both of these guys as rookies. As they get their NFL body, you know, get a good off season, you know, getting that good old Cowboys beef, getting the weight room and stuff, and start really getting to know this offense, you can end up having something really, really special. And see, this is where those guys are going to help this running game. They're going to help this as a ball control offense. And when it comes bad weather and cold, this is what you need. And this is what I hope that the Cowboys really, really push this week. Because now, with Tony Pollard, last week was nice because you saw Tony Pollard making some nice runs up the middle, you know, where he had the gaps and stuff. The offensive line seems to be coming together much better than it has been. But he is still better outside. You have those two tight ends. It stretches that field a little bit more. It gives you some more creases in there and force to be able to run into. And that will help Tony Pollard to really get going. As much as everybody wants to think that it's all about slinging the pass, 40, 50 times in a game, it's not. We have to have a running game. And when you go into the playoffs like we did against San Francisco, where we only ran 77 yards, it's hard to win. So get the Blue Brothers out there doing some damage. All right, y'all. I got to get me a big chuck roast. I got to get me the big sub, and I got to get ready for game day tomorrow. I hope you guys join us for our live stream. I don't think that there's anything out there, anything like our game day experience. I hope you join us. And as always, I appreciate you.
Our coach here, as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting,